Namaste, World Raisers. Sabina and Roger here. It is Western Teacher Wednesday. And Roger picked Rupert Spira. We found a juicy title called Suffering and Neo Advaita.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure even what Neo Advaita is all about. So touching on, Western Wednesdays. But we got to remember that the Western teachers that we're watching on our channel, most of them have dived into the Eastern teachings. So that's why I don't really like the duality of calling them Western teachers versus Eastern teachers, because the Western teachers are teaching the wisdom of the East.
Or we can call it White Wednesday.
Yeah, what's better? Western Wednesday or
White Wednesday?
White Teacher Wednesday.
Yes, as people, we suffer undeniably, and it would be facile to deny that. And that's why I would never, that I don't just automatically answer every question about suffering with, well, there's no suffering because there's no person to suffer. That sounds like the non-dual teaching. But if that answer is just given mechanically to every question about suffering, it betrays the fact that the teaching is not really coming from understanding. It's just coming from a series of non-dual concepts that have been learned in satsang or on YouTube or in a book. That's not the real non-dual teaching.
Nice.
The non-dual teaching is free from any prescription to any set of ideas, and will one moment say, yes, there is suffering. Your suffering is very real. And 5 minutes later may say, no, there is ultimately no suffering, because the one who suffers is not who he thinks he really is. So I think one has to be very cautious. We often hear on the Neo Advaita circuit a statement such as, there's nobody here. There's nothing here. This is, of course, nonsense.
Thank you.
I'm going to explain. Because this is precisely one of those statements that if it went out onto YouTube without being explained, could give the wrong impression. So I now have to explain what I mean by that. Now, let's say that someone here called Ollie is a Neo Advaita teacher and gives meetings, and that the basic message is there's nobody here and there's nothing to do. So that's fine. We carry on with our conversation here, and then halfway through the meeting, at the back of the room, Naya walks in to the room and says, sorry to disturb you all, but is anyone called Ollie here? Ollie puts up his hand. Now, why does Ollie put up his hand and none of the rest of us? If there was nothing there that related to the word Ollie, Ollie would not put his hand up. But Ollie does put his hand up, and none of us put our hands up. There is something there to which the word Ollie refers, and it is in that person's experience alone. So if Ollie then deals with the emergency, comes back, starts talking with his friends, and just says, there's nobody here, it's nonsense. It's true that what is essential to the person Ollie, what Ollie considers to be himself, it is not limited by the thoughts, the feelings, the activities and relationships that pertain to that particular body-mind. But nevertheless, there is a self, if we can call it a self. There is something that Ollie refers to when he says I. Now, this I, the self of Ollie, may recognize that it has no limits, and therefore it is not limited to the body and the mind of Ollie. But nevertheless, there is something there that says yes when his name is called. What is it that says, when you hear the name Ollie, he says, yes, I am here? What is it that says that? It is consciousness. That is what is really there. Even when Ollie the Neo Advaita says, there is nobody here. What does he mean by the word here? When he says here, he means this location. Well, that's what the separate self is, a location of consciousness. So to say there is nobody here is a contradiction of terms. If there was nobody, there would be no here. There would be nothing located here. So to say there is nobody here is simply a contradiction of terms.
He's good.
Yeah, breaking it down.
There is something or someone that seems to be located here, and that is what we call our self. And our self seems to be located in, and as a result to share the limits and the destiny of this body. So if we make a deep investigation of that self, we find that none of the limits of our thoughts and perceptions actually pertain to that self. So there is something which is not a thing that is present, and it is essentially unlimited, and it is the self of all selves. But nevertheless, it is apparently located here, for as long as we are embodied. So we have to be very careful making statements such as, there is no suffering, there's nobody here, there's nothing to do. They seem to be non-dual statements, and they can be statements of the ultimate truth, as far as it is possible to make a statement of the ultimate truth. But I feel one should be very cautious saying such things, especially nowadays when anything that anybody says is shared so rapidly in the media, where people don't have the context or the understanding with which to fully understand these statements, and therefore they are nearly always mistaken. And this brings the non-dual teaching into disrepute and dumbs it down.
Puts me quite in the state, his energy.
Yeah, he's got a very calming presence and aura, and very patient and kind, and you can see it, right?
So patient.
And being, very skillful and wanting, his message and his teaching to really be, to get across and be apparent, right? Because, it is, so I came across that too on my path about, getting into non-duality and, the world is a dream and an illusion and nothing is real. What really helped me was, when I got into the Buddhist teachings, right? And then the two truths, right? So we all know, from Buddhism, just, introductory and basics, we know the four noble truths, and you got to get into it a little bit more to discover the two truths, which he also taught, and that is ultimate reality and conventional reality. So, the Buddha also says, we're not denying the conventional reality. It exists conventionally, but it's not ultimately real, but it still is real. We still have these feelings and emotions and, the ego, the dualistic thinking mind, it's still part of the creation. And until we experience and transcend that, then we're always going to have this center, right? This presence. Because when he's saying that, the teaching of there's nobody here, that's a contradiction of terms, because there is a location, there is a central location of consciousness within us as we're embodied, and it doesn't do us any good to deny that. But at the same time, there's one non-dual reality. So all is Brahman, and Ātman is Brahman. So the soul, the source of consciousness within us, is non-dual in nature to the whole field. So I thought it was a great teaching, and it seems like, okay, so now I got my answer about the Neo Advaita. It seems like Neo in my mind now, it's just, because I have heard the term before, and it seems like more of a fundamentalist, kind of extreme view of, taking it literally, like, no, there's nobody here. But then it's denying the world. And if you're denying it completely, then how can you be in it, and help it? Because it's also a contradictory of terms in the sense of, non-duality means non-dual in nature of, the emptiness and the form, right? So form is emptiness, emptiness is form. This is the Prajnaparamita Sutra from the Buddha. And so, which means that they're one in reality. So if you're taking one extreme as just the emptiness and, space and consciousness beyond and before all form, and that's the only reality, then you're denying the reality of what it is, non-dual as well. So, because then you're seeing it, you're denying the two, right? So if you're thinking primary is the non-form, and then the secondary is the form, then that's a contradiction of what non-duality means. It means not two. It means there's only one, and that includes the creation, right? So that's, in Buddhist terminology as well, it's the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, and it's a trinity. It's like all, but they're all one, right? Same with God the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. It's the, the creator, the creation, and the energy, the power, the consciousness of creation. It's all one. So so to not deny that, we're here now, and that's okay. And if we start denying our conventional reality and our body and our psychological mind as just not being here, that's could get us into more delusion, right? Because then we're missing the opportunity of having these glorious divine bodies, with discernment and curiosity. And then if we're just denying it, maybe misinterpreting the teachings, then we're missing the opportunity to really go deeper and investigate and really work with this, these mental constructs to actually advance, instead of just denying everything, thinking that we're maybe higher than we are, obviously. So, because, there is suffering. So I like how he clarified that, and he made it clear that, he understands that and he believes that. So just because we understand non-duality doesn't mean we're denying, the existence of suffering, because, the very purpose of, suffering is, to lead us on the path. And we got karma that we're dealing with, and then it comes up, and then, we suffer, and you see it's prevalent, and it's due to just the whole manifestation occurring over vast eons of time, and humans being stuck in duality. We don't see the divinity in others, and then we become separated even more so, and then conflict arises. And then we create more binding karma because we're so attached to physicality. So non-duality helps us transcend that, but not denying it, not by denying it, right? Conventionally.
Nice.
So everything is an appearance to the mind, but we're not denying what is appearing. It's like a dream. It's like a water bubble. It's not saying that it is a dream. It's saying it's like a dream. It's a divine play, a divine manifestation, and it has conventional existence.
Beautiful talk. Let us know if you ever had the experience, or if you can emphasize with the Neo Advaita people. Because I have to be honest, once I remember in Westlock, Just a few months ago, there was one moment, and I remember I was lying on the mattress. I say mattress because we didn't have a bed at that time. Our studio was in our bedroom. And there was a moment of, holy Moses, there is nothing to do. And during that time, I was abiding in really beautiful states and meditations. And there was this moment of, there is nothing to do. You know.
Is that when you were doing so much? Because there was another time when you were in that state and she was going crazy, pumping out videos. Remember? There was a time where you were also in a similar state. Might not have been the same time.
What?
But you were really, really productive and you were getting a lot done, but you were also in a similar state.
More like a flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you mean because I was not doing it. It was just flowing through me, and that's why I was doing so
you were in the
much.
state. You were also in that state. I remember of there's nothing to do, yet so many things are getting done.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I didn't even combine those two.
So
Interesting.
Yeah, so realizing that you're not the doer, but doingness is happening.
Is happening, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting that you can. Yeah. I didn't even see that, but yeah, the other state was almost like there was the sense of, I don't know. It's like, it might be the same then. Realizing I'm not the doer. Oh.
Yeah.
There is nothing to do. Oh, because I'm not the do. Like.
Yeah.
From that state, there is no doer.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the ego is thinking that it's doing everything, but when you get into the higher state, you realize that you're not the ego and you're just the pure consciousness, but yet everything's getting done, right?
Yeah.
Things are happening.
Oh, thanks. I didn't put those two together yet.
Yeah, so the practice that kind of leads more to that realization, I believe, is karma yoga, right? Where you're just surrendering all the actions onto God, which is the pure light of consciousness within, Brahman, so you're resting in that, yet everything is happening.
Yeah.
Right? But
yeah.
And then that surrender it, so you're surrendering the actions, because the real action is the unfoldment of creation itself. Right? And then these bodies are going to be operating based on modes of material nature, whatever level of consciousness you're at, things will be happening. Right? And then the ego likes to take credit for everything that's being done.
Yeah. Yeah, but in the statement there is nothing to do. Yeah, maybe that's not like the right statement. There is no doing happening. Maybe that is more right.
Doing is happening. Doingness is happening. Things are getting done, but you're not the doer.
Oh, there is no doer happening.
There's no doer
There's no
doing.
Doing. Oh, okay. Because I had even though it was so real, but in that moment I thought it's not quite true. There's nothing to do. It's not the true statement as such. And now I understand why. It's there is no doer doing.
Yeah. Well,
that is more true then.
Yeah, because from a point of view, there actually is nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that we technically have to do. That's true. Yet there's so many things happening. But it's not like they have to be done. They're just being done as part of the unfoldment of creation, because the body, is an incredibly sophisticated, intelligent, organism in itself, and it needs to survive. It has that life, so that desire. Remember, even Satguru was saying that desire is life, and every cell of our being has a desire. The desire, to live, to be alive, to seek sustenance and the necessary things that allow it to exist, right? Because it's a part of non-duality is realizing that, even we're coming from one ultimate non-dual source, we're not denying the divinity of the creation, right? And realizing that, this body, is a temple. It is divine. And we can be and we can act, And like the other teachings we heard from about non-duality is that it brings, courage, right? And that fortitude and that conviction that, we are divine, children of the ultimate. And we can represent that, and we can be spiritual, and we can act, from a higher wisdom, awareness, understanding of deep, deep spiritual truths. And that'll help to continue to purify and elevate our mind further and further into the truth, of the consciousness that is the ground and primary to our being, but also non-dual in nature to the form body of creation. Because it's, it's one. Everything is Brahman.
There is only God.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful video. If you liked it as much as we did, you know what to do. Let us know in the comment section. Hit the like button and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful teaching by one of our favorite Western teachers, Rupert Spira. That was fantastic. And remember, the most important thing, why we're even practicing the teachings and learning all this wisdom is to raise ourselves
and raise the world. Thank you so much, everyone. We love you. And let us know if you feel a bit drunk too. I feel so drunk. I haven't felt like that for a while, and it's so cool.
Nice. Drunk Sabine. Drunk on consciousness. We love you guys. Peace.